Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is going to be another movie review for you guys. Now, this movie I'm going to be reviewing, I want you guys to know something. I knew basically nothing about this movie. All I heard was the plot of it, and after hearing the plot, I was very intrigued. And that movie I'm going to be reviewing is Digging Up the Marrow. Now, you guys have probably never really heard of this movie either. It got a limited release on VOD. You can watch it on Amazon, iTunes, things like that. And you can also watch it on Solar Movie, which of course I watched it on. And I was very intrigued by the plot of this movie, definitely. I didn't really know too much about it except for the plot, and I have to say, for the most part, I love Digging Up the Marrow. There are so many things that I loved about this movie that I didn't know the movie was going to do, and I absolutely loved, and there were so many things that this movie did that were really smart. I really only have one complaint with this movie that literally, and I'll talk about what it is, but in my opinion, this movie is just fantastic, and it really was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. But let's get to the plot of Digging Up the Marrow. Basically, we follow this documentary crew who basically they run this, like, store, or, like, this place all about monsters, and how they're sympathetic towards monsters, and how they're not as bad as we think they are, and they get a call from this guy, this guy's name is William Decker, and he is this guy who's obsessed with monsters, and he claims that he can prove that monsters are in fact real. And a lot of the movie is them just trying to figure out, is this guy insane and things like that, and that's basically a plot of Digging Up the Marrow, which I think is a very intriguing plot, definitely. I mean, there's some things I really do love about this movie. First of all, I must say, the acting in this movie is fantastic. I did not expect the acting to be as good as it is. We have to talk about, let's talk about the main lead first of all. Adam Green is the main lead here. He plays himself, basically. He is also the director and writer of this movie. I've never seen anything else that Adam Green does, but I have to say, I loved his acting in this movie. I really like his character as well. He's a very good character, in my opinion. And a lot of the movie, you don't understand why he wants to follow this guy, why he thinks that this guy is, why he thinks this guy isn't lying, and you start to sympathize with him. And a lot of things I really like about his character was just how much it interfered with his life. You see, the thing I like that the movie does is that he basically portrays himself, so they're able to take the idea of what would have happened if this were really to happen to him. First of all, his wife is very skeptical about him doing this because of his TV. He has a very successful TV show that he has to put on a very long hiatus so he can focus on seeing if this guy is crazy or not, and it starts to affect even his job even. I mean, his friend almost quits on him, and I think his character was just really interesting with that. I thought they did a very good job with this character, and he was very well developed. Ray Wise as William Decker, I thought he was fantastic in this movie. He's such a mysterious and creepy character. In fact, the creepiest part of this movie involves his character, because the whole movie you're like, is this guy crazy or not? Is he actually sane? Is he telling the truth? Are these monsters actually real? And he doesn't reveal them. And I mean, most of the movie, it's like, well, there's no way this guy's telling the truth. He's very mysterious. He doesn't talk much about his personal life. He asks you a lot of questions. He wants you to trust him. He always keeps saying, you gotta trust me on this one. I've never told anyone else this. But stuff he starts to say just doesn't start to add up, and you really start to think, is this guy actually telling the truth or not? And I think it was really good the way they did that. I definitely really enjoyed that, and I thought that was very well portrayed. The way they handled it was really good. So I thought he did a great job. And the bonding between Adam and William, I thought was really good as well. And also, one of my favorite parts of the movie is just you start to hear stories about this guy and how he's screwed all these other people over, and how they don't listen to him, and how he's not telling the truth, and how you should not believe what he says. And I think it's just really intriguing the way they did that. One of my favorite parts of the movie by far. Will Barrett in this movie, he was also fantastic. I thought he did a great job. He's basically the one that's shooting most of the movie, but he himself starts to talk to him and is like, do you really believe this guy? Do you actually think he's telling the truth? And he starts to think himself, why would you think that these monsters are real? I mean, I know that we run this, place, but why would you think it's real and everything? And I think the movie was really smart with that, and the only other person I really want to talk about is whoever played Adam's wife did a fantastic job. She gave a great performance in this movie, and she was really, really good. And I really want to talk about the directing to this movie, because Adam Green, you can tell this guy is a fan of horror. I mean, he is a huge fan of horror, because there are so many references to so many horror movies. This is a guy that sympathizes with Frankenstein and sympathizes with all these different monsters, and I think it's really interesting the way they did that, and he really portrayed it perfectly, because it's basically the idea of he himself, what would he do if he basically, if he found this out. Now, keep in mind, guys, this is not a found footage movie. In fact, they actually make fun of it in the movie, which I think is funny. It's not a found footage movie. It's what he calls a footage movie, or simply a mockumentary. It's not a actual found footage movie. It is simply a mockumentary and is taking the idea of what would happen if this really happened. I think it's a really cool idea, and I actually want to see more movies shot this way, because I like it filmed as a mockumentary. I think that it's more well done that way. I think it's more well done that way. I think it gives you more time to develop your characters, and overall, I just really think that a mockumentary is better than a found footage movie, and I definitely really enjoyed about this movie, and that's something I definitely have to applaud this movie for, was the directing. Now, the best part of this movie, by far, the thing that blew me away the most, the thing that I will take away from this movie, is the screenplay. Holy shit, guys, this is such a good screenplay. The screenplay to this movie is absolutely phenomenal. Well, for the most part, I love the screenplay. So many things I did not know about this movie. One of the things that I actually really liked is that you genuinely care for each one of the characters in this movie, which I didn't think I would. I didn't think I care for really any of the characters. I thought this was going to be a fun movie, but really, no, it's not, because of the dramatic side of all this. Some people start to question if Adam's crazy, even, which I think is really interesting. And the third, especially the thing that impressed me the most, was the third act of this movie. The third act of this movie is fucking crazy, and so much happens in the third act, but it's so well done, especially, the movie is very dialogue driven. I really love the slow pace of it all. It's very well done. I think the way they did that was really, really good, and something that I personally really, really enjoyed. Definitely, I thought the writing was just fantastic. Screenplay was good. I did not expect this movie to get as dramatic as it got. I did not expect this movie to be as funny as this. This movie is very funny at times. A lot of the funny things about this movie is Adam and Will just joking around with each other, and it's really fun to watch. Them talking about monsters and them trying to prove if certain monsters are real was really, really funny, and I definitely had a great time watching them joke around about that. Something I didn't think I would like about the movie, but I actually really did enjoy. I thought it was very funny, actually. And it's a lot of fun to watch as well. I mean, I don't know if this place that these guys run are real or not, but if it is, I want to go there, because it seems like a lot of fun. And there's the scene where Adam goes to a convention, and it's really cool to see. And that's the other thing I want to talk about, is the cinematography to this movie is great. One of the things I definitely love about this movie is when we do eventually get to the monsters, them looking for the monsters. I don't want to spoil if the monsters are real, but they never show the creature, and it's so much more effective that they don't do that. And I'm going to go into spoilers right now, guys. I'm going to talk about what I really did like about this movie, my one complaint that I did have with this movie. The cinematography, one of the things I love is that when we eventually saw the monsters, they didn't show the monsters. This isn't really a spoiler, guys, because, I mean, you know on the poster they show the monster. They don't really show the monster. They show the monster's hand, and that's it. I think it's a lot more effective that way, and something that I really appreciate about this movie was that they didn't really show the monsters. I thought that was very well done. The other thing I love that this movie does, and this was something I thought was really, really good, is the way they talk about the monsters, the way they sympathize with them and things like that, and just the way that whole thing is done was great. And I guess the only thing I'll talk about is the sound design and the mixing. My really only complaint of the movie, this is literally the last shot of the movie. Suddenly, the end of the movie, they suddenly get away from the whole mockumentary aspect of it and turn into a found footage movie. They start recording with cameras, and there's the last shot of the movie is a jump scare, and it really disappointed me, I do have to say. It didn't ruin the movie for me. It just was like, seriously, that's the ending, because, like, I wish this movie was very smart and very witty from that point on. And then they just do a jump scare, and I'm like, seriously, that's the ending? Like, I was very disappointed by the way it ended that way. Now, it did not ruin the movie for me, because there are so many things I love about this movie besides that. But besides that one jump scare, I really don't have many problems with this movie. I think this is a very solid movie, and something that I definitely really enjoyed. Now, the other thing I want to say about this movie is the funny aspects of this movie. Think of a show like Comic Book Men or Pawn Stars or American Pickers. That's sort of the place that these guys run, and it kind of reminded me a lot of those shows, I do have to say. I don't know why, but it just reminded me so much of those shows. I've seen those shows before. I've seen episodes of them, so they're very fun shows, and this show kind of reminded me of that. And after this movie, I definitely want to see more of Adam Green's movies. I think he has a very good style, but I want to see him do more of these kind of movies, because he actually did it was a very risky choice, but it worked out very well, in my opinion, and I definitely really enjoyed it. And and really is a throwback to classic horror. I just wish that the last shot of this movie would have continued that idea of classic horror and not focus on a jump scare. There's only one jump scare, but it just does not work. The ending of the movie, you're like, seriously, that's the ending? And it just did not work in my opinion, but that's really my only complaint I had with this movie. Other than that, guys, this movie is fantastic, and I really recommend you guys check out Digging Up the Marrow. It really is a fantastic movie, and it really is. I mean, one of the things I like about this movie is it's not really about are these monsters real. It's about is this guy is crazy or not, and that's the thing. As I said, I like the most about this movie. Is just they're trying to figure out should we actually trust this guy. But that's basically my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys saw this movie. If you have seen it, I definitely recommend you do. I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for my Oscar predictions for tomorrow, which I cannot wait for the Oscars tomorrow, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.